I was just finishing up some yard work, so now I'm cooling off outside, so I figured, why not do a reading while I'm at it? And plus, nobody called the cops on me in my flesh-colored, outfit. I mean, this is what we're talking about. This is the puritanical society we live in today, folks. With a bunch of bitter betties who don't think I should be doing yard work for some reason. I don't know, maybe to pay their deadbeat boyfriend to come over and do it. But, if they don't show up, then I can't pay nobody. So I gotta do it. You know what I mean? Even there was a while back, I had an injury on my arm and I couldn't lift my arm very well. I tried to get people to come over. I even talked to somebody that does the neighbor's yard. And she looked at me like, because in appearance, because I wasn't sitting there with a freaking, you know what I mean? Like if you're not whining and moaning, then they don't want to help you. You know what I mean? It's always the crybabies that get the most help, right? Yeah, the taxpayers now. The taxpayers now. Because the taxpayers are the ones that have to pay for the crybabies out there. Yeah. We know all about it. Which is probably why I've never received my Freedom of Information Act request that I submitted in November of 2025, last year, to the county that I live in. Because I still don't know who called the cops on me when I was outside wearing this. They won't tell me. Like, what now? Why is that fair? And I paid the taxes that paid that EMS service to come and check on me because I'm wearing this, because I'm doing my own yard work, having a friggin' hot flash because it's hot out. This is the mentality of some of these people. They don't know how to make sense. Well, if you joined the stream at the very beginning, you would know what I was talking about. Yeah, exactly. I'm somebody that pays my fucking taxes. If you aren't, you might want to get off this channel because likely you will be offended. You will. And I don't give a shit if you were offended or not. Anyway. Let's get into this Cosmic Insights deck here. Intuition. Yeah, follow your intuition. If you know something's weird, if you know somebody's like, you know what I mean? Trying to trip your trigger, just stay away from that person, right? Oh, but we've known each other this long and that. I don't care how long you've known each other. Don't do it, Open your heart. It will help you attract more love, okay? So yeah, away from the haters and more towards heart-focused, centered, okay? Manifest. Tell the universe exactly what you want. So if you didn't do this on the new moon, when the new moon came around, maybe it's time for you to start to practice. Okay? And part of manifesting is following through on the actions, strategies. Do you have a goal plan? That sort of thing. Phyllis Thiemann, whoever your name is, message retracted a couple times already. Fire sign, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Maybe this ain't the channel for Phyllis today. I don't know. Maybe Phyllis ain't a fire sign. I don't know. You know what I mean? Maybe Phyllis had her fill of trying to comment on YouTube videos for the day. I don't know. But you could be Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, or have this similar in your chart. I am not an astrologist or an astrologer, so I don't... but I understand, I know enough to be dangerous for my own, you know what I mean? But I would highly recommend, if you are into astrology, first of all, knowing that there's more than one system of astrology. Okay? So, your brother's girlfriend who's heavy into it and is going to do your chart for you, and you're like, yeah, this just doesn't make sense for me. Well, maybe it doesn't, because maybe they're not using the right system. I'm just saying. Okay. So there's a lot of information online, And of course, the library has had books about this stuff for years. So I would highly encourage you to do your own research before just taking the word of somebody who is a hobbyist at astrology. Okay, and these days with the internet, anyone can call themselves a professional anything, right? They'll say, "Well, I have all this experience." Yeah, you might have experience, but I don't want my life to look like yours. You know what I mean? Some of these people, it looks like their life went down the friggin' toilet, and it's like, is that what you want to follow? The astrologer who's got a different boyfriend every 6-8 months. I mean, some of us out here that do this stuff, we've been celibate for years, and some of that means like not dating either. Some people don't understand that you can date and still be celibate, because some people wait until they have a commitment before they engage in that kind of activity. Yeah, I know, mind-blowing stuff out here, but hey, that's the world that a lot of us live in, unfortunately, and how people perceive things. That's why I'm, get called on the cops for wearing this outside in my own fucking yard that I pay how much in taxes in every year to send their dumbass fucking kids to this goddamn school district to fucking learn a thing or two. Like, get over it already. Get over it already. We don't all look like each other. We ain't gonna have all the same experiences. Okay? Some of us do actually like to get out here and do our own yard work. Okay. Puts us in with Mother Nature. Intuition. Stop it. Settle down. Settle down. Knock it off. Knock it off. Maybe there's some more deliveries going on in here. We had a different mailman today, so I don't know what's going on. Holiday weekend, some people take this week off. Stop it. Stop it. Knock it off. Stop it. No. Here, want this thing? The red flags you ignore now will come back to bite later. Okay? So that could be with anything. For some reason, I'm getting like health as well. So like, make sure you're going for your regular checkups. Love spell, you've been bewitched. I've never drew this card before. That's interesting. So somebody could be wanting to say some sweet nothings to you. Maybe they're sending you signs, things of that nature. Okay. Definitely cosmic for sure. Okay. But yeah, I submitted my FOIA request to the county for like everything. And and that was back in November. And I submitted it online. And I think I even have the date of when I, submitted it. Never received anything in the mail. Nothing. It's like, after a few weeks, I started kind of questioning things, and somebody told me that, it takes a while, but it's like, come on now. It sounds like somebody's getting protected here. Do you know what I'm saying? And I have a feeling that's going to be coming to a stop before too long. Anyway. I'm getting that Madonna song, right? Open Your Heart. I posted that video, last month or so, I feel like. The Great Gathering. It's all coming together. Intuitive hits. Are you gonna relax? Stop. What does matter? Calm down. Calm down. Stop. Stop. It's all coming together. Intuitive hits Soul Track. Alrighty. And that's with Open Your Heart. So whoever this is, maybe this person feels like they're part of your tribe, and you'll understand each other. You know, can you just simmer down a little bit? You know, hey, stop. There's a dog barking in the background, so they're like going back and forth, you know. Anyway, star mother. How can you mother yourself? So maybe that's, you know, telling the universe what you want. Maybe you're like, oh, it would be so nice if I had a massage. Okay, write that down. Right? You know, I just had one a few days ago. It was really great. And I was like, is this girl going to be able to put pressure on? And she did. She hit some spots I didn't even, especially under here, which was funny because I told you guys I had that injury, you know, to my arm. And, you know, especially when I'm doing yard work and holding the, you know, holding the trimmers up. Knock it off. Knock it off. When I'm holding the trimmers up, you know, then that gets sore after a while. And she got in there and like, you know, I didn't have to tell her. Like, she just found that spot and it was like, but, you know, it was needed. It probably helped me today because I did some more trim work on one of the bushes I have in the yard. I have a few. Birthing a new age, birthing creations, dreaming a new world into being. Okay. So again, this could be significant with whatever your chart is, or being a fire sign. Maybe you're creating something. Okay. For some of you, that could even be, you know, little, you know, persons out there in society birthing new creations. Okay. There's some movie, I can't remember, and it was like, you are my greatest creation or whatever, you know. And I think it was like a father-child moment, something of that nature. Anyway. So, Mintakon, longing for home, belonging, the original light workers. Okay, and you have this with intuition here. So, yeah, you might be longing for something. And if you're not getting it, you know what I mean? It's like this intuition is going to come up to play and it's going to be like, see, I told you. See, I told you. You know what I mean? It's going to be like one of those things. So, you know, listening to your gut now. You know, I've had some, you know, adult relationships in, you know, my life, but I'm not, you know, one that just goes from one to the next. You know, like I can go on a date with somebody, chat with them for a little while, and then I just know, like, it's like, either, you know, I misread this completely, or, you know, no, my gut says this ain't gonna work. You know what I mean? Because if you're already finding stuff to dislike about somebody before you're, you know what I mean? It's like, might wanna put that one somewhere else for the moment. You know what I mean? So, and that's not to say, you know, so this love spell, I would say watch out for people that do the, well, what kind of relationship are you looking for? And if you tell them, they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm looking for that too. It's like, are they, or did they just get you to talk so that they can mimic back to you and say, oh, yeah, I want to do that too. Oh yeah, I like that too. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. And it's like, because later down the road, I mean, maybe you guys have seen Will and Grace, the TV show Will and Grace, where she ends up getting married to Harry Connick Jr.'s character, right? And then after they've been married for a little while, and they're like on that bike ride or something, she collapses and she's like, I don't actually like doing all this stuff. She was like hiding, you know, kind of who she really was, right? It's not saying she couldn't go out and do those things, like on a vacation or something, but yeah, it wasn't like her whole life, right? How, you know, some people, it's very central to to your life and things like that. So again, if you're heavily into something, like I think I mentioned this the other day, I have one tattoo. You know, I'm probably a one and doneer. You know what I mean? And I was over the age of 40 when I got it. You know what I mean? I was like, what the heck? Let's go for it. You know, it's only one. You know, and it's not in the most conspicuous space, so I thought it'll be fine. But when I was younger, I didn't have it. And sometimes you go on a date with a guy, and like this one guy, I mean, he had them everywhere. And I was like, here, I don't have any. Like, what if he wants us to go and get tattoos done together or something? You know what I mean? It was like, and it wasn't, you know what I mean? Because like he was being him, you know, but I just saw that and I was like, ooh, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be the right fit. You know what I mean? For this, whatever that relationship is supposed to be. It's not necessarily so much about the other person, but how you meet in the middle. And then when I saw him later, you know, I mean, just, you know how it is, small town stuff. Saw him at some old local church festival or something. You know, I mean, was, you know, eating a snow cone or kebab or whatever the heck with his new girlfriend or fiance, whatever. And this was several years later. Anyway, she had like, I'm pretty sure like a sleeve of tattoo, and I was like, see, I knew it. You know what I mean? And it's like sometimes that's, you know, so, but she didn't have as many as him, but still, they're like, that's where the bridge is starting to meet, right? Of that masculine and feminine energy, you know. But I've seen them dressed up nice before too, so they dress up nice too. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, oh shoot. I mean, this was at a carnival, you know what I mean? Like I said, church carnival, so, you know, we're pretty casual. Especially the Catholics, we serve beer at ours, right? It ain't like the other ones where they gotta sneak it in. We're like, no, it's right here. It's right here. And it's usually like the men's club or somebody serving, you know what I mean? So they can be the gauge of how intoxicated the crowd gets. You know what I mean? Because they're probably all professionals behind that. You know what I mean? That are serving that. That's why I think it's always a good thing to go when you're young, go work at like a bar or something or a restaurant. And because if you're not somebody who partakes in that, or you know, you might not kind of understand all the reactions. And sometimes the stuff on TV and stuff is so dramatized, and it's dramatized for effect. Whereas, like, say, the normal person isn't going to get into that situation. But there will be somebody who does, and they will use that as an excuse. You know? And that always becomes their excuse. And it's like, okay. 8 of Pentacles. So you might be working on something that if you open your heart up to some soul tribe action here, you might get further along, I guess. And, you know, in a more proficient way, I guess is what I want to say. All right. Next, ooh, look at that. 4 of Wands. Who doesn't like a 4 of Wands? Okay. So, maybe that's what you've been wanting to manifest. You know, okay, so this Star Mother, maybe this is the, you know, happy ending story that you were hoping to hear. Right, that you're trying to tell yourself here, this 4 of Wands, and say, yes, I can. Speaking of, this is funny, they're like, this one gal, yeah, she's wearing a bandeau here, you know, kind of similar to what I'm wearing, which these were very popular in the 80s more, but like, you know, now, I don't know. Sometimes people use it like as a layering piece also. But like this is just a bandeau, it's not like a tube top. Whereas, you know, back in the day I used to rock a tube top, you know, go to a concert, whatever. Shout out to my girls at BU when we went to the live concert together. That's the one that I wore my tube top for. It was a very cute tube top. It was light blue. It looked very good against my skin. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Queen of Cups. So you could be a Queen of Cups that has fire placements, or there's somebody that's seeking you that is a fire energy. Okay. What is that song? My love is like water, been down and abused for being strange. Something like that. The live song. Oh my gosh, Two of Cups. This is somebody who's like, look at that, and High Priestess on the bottom. This is somebody that... So, okay. Let me just say this. Some people have a type, right? And then they go against their type, and then it ends up kind of working out, right? So that may be one of these instances, okay? But that doesn't mean it has to be, you know, something you've done previously, okay? I'll just say that. Okay. I'm also getting Harry Belafonte. I think it's this here, Harry Belafonte for somebody. But there's one movie, but that's not him. I think that's Sidney Poitier instead. Anyway, that's from ages and ages ago. Don't ask me how I went live to Harry Belafonte. You know. Anywho, I think that's about all I have today. Okay. Look, there's King, and after this High Priestess, there's King of Cups on the bottom of the deck. I don't know. So then under this love spell, it says change a residence, moving in with your partner. So this person could be one of those that wants you to like move in with them. And some people are like that. They want you to move in like right away. And, you know, I'm not going to say that can't work, but you know what I mean. Take a break, a life's work, not a season, get off the treadmill. So yeah, don't do as much yard work as I do. Hire it out if you can afford to. I wouldn't say I can't afford to, but you know, it's something that gets me outside. You know what I mean? Gets me a little sun, fresh air. And then honestly, it helps me think about, you know, then I can detach from the house a little bit. And then when I go back in the house and then you have kind of fresh eyes and it's like, oh, I can just do this, this, and this real quick. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be a big deal. Whereas sometimes if you're inside too much, you sit and you just stew because it's like, it has nowhere to go. So, which I do have my windows closed up because it's like gonna hit like 90 degrees today. I have my windows closed up and I have my one room air conditioner on just so I can sleep. I don't have the rest of the house because it's supposed to cool down again, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so this looks like a very positive, this looks like a very positive reading for somebody here. Yeah, again, there's something I feel like where this person is gonna wanna like either move in with you, have you move in with them. It's something about the proximity here. Okay. Also on the bottom of this deck here, it says Unbound, releasing soul patterns, contracts, and past lives. So yeah, for a lot of you, you could be like, oh, I don't know. Well, I mean, there's people that get married, right, that don't even have, say, an apartment to their name. But there's people that will put their name on a house together and they won't get married. and they'll be unmarried. You know what I mean? There's all sorts of different ways that people wind up in contracts together. Okay. Um, so for some of you, if you're hesitant, that may be a part of it. But I feel like if you communicate, yeah, this open up your heart. I feel like that if you communicate with this person, they will understand. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Sometimes I get like weird, and I'm like, is that? But you know what I mean? I live in town. I also live on a flight path. So, you know what I mean? There's just a lot of energy moving around all the time. So, and, this time of day, they're still doing, mail deliveries, and which I had a different, I think I already mentioned that, maybe. Had a different mailman today than the norm. They were like, oh, they'll be back tomorrow. So it's like, oh yeah, it was just Memorial Day. So there's probably a lot of people taking this week off, and all that stuff. So again, all right. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. I think that's everything that I have for you guys. So it looks like whatever you've been manifesting, that you're working on it in a pretty good way. Where the book is not written for you, it is yet to be written, day by day as you go. Okay, so again, this releasing soul patterns, contracts, and past lives. Releasing the story of, oh, when I was in high school or college or whatever, the team I played on, we didn't win very much, so I'm just somebody who doesn't win. You know what I mean? Releasing that kind of thought pattern. Okay? And understanding that there's nothing wrong with winning. Right? Like, it's okay to win. It's okay to succeed. Okay? But, collectively, the experience we view is, oh, the winning of, this award on this TV show, or some trophy on this sports showcase, or, you know what I mean? We don't always see all the different levels of winning collectively as a society. So that pressure, you can flip that pressure upside down a little bit, because nobody can sustain it. Right? And then we become the whole mirror. Okay? Right? Okay. So, can you guys see the reflection in my glass? It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool looking. Anyway, in the chat here, yeah, I was talking about taxes before. Anyway, I think I did mention the other day that I saw my mortgage company paid my taxes, which they're supposed to because of how my mortgage is set up. So, but they actually sent me paperwork saying that, which was nice, I thought. Because I don't think I get anything separate from the county, which is weird that, the homeowner doesn't get a separate, I should probably call them one of these days and be like, hey, can you guys send me an extra copy of that, not just to my mortgage company? You know what I mean? Because I'll tell you what, sometimes those mortgage companies, they'll sell your mortgage off to somebody else without, like, asking you first. They'll just do it. Then all of a sudden you get all this new paperwork. That happened to me when I was in between jobs, changing. And, technically I was never unemployed. Anyway, just in between jobs. But I got all this stuff in the mail saying, your mortgage is with so and so now. And I thought, oh, it's just another one of them scams. So I just ignored it for a while. And then I started getting more. And I was like, man, I guess I'm going to have to investigate this. Well, sure enough, I had to create a whole new user login on their website and password just so I could go on there and hook, because I had it automatically coming out of my, my bank statement, like a lot of people do. You know what I mean? I think that's how a lot of people have that. Anyway, so it was kind of weird. And then it was not maybe 4 to 6 months later, it happened again. Yet another. And then I ended up finally with, like, whoever got mine, they've changed their own name like 3 times. And I have all the paperwork. Because I'm like, this is too much to keep track of. But now, now I think it's called Rocket, which is one nationwide or whatever. But, their website's pretty easy to use. I'll have to say that much. Anyway, and I think they do have pay by phone option, which I still like pay by phone myself. Call and give them your check or, card number to pay your bill. Because some of that online stuff, sometimes you don't have a good internet connection. So how are you supposed to do that? And not everyone wants to use their little cell phone to be typing. Like they're supposed to be typing like a secretary. Of course some executive came up with that idea. Oh yes, my secretary will just solely be attending to my electronic communications on cellular device. Oh, is that right? And then they're like, oh, well, then you can buy this little separate tablet thing. It's like, well, that would be like a laptop, sir, ma'am. Anyway. So this looks very good here. Maybe I'll take a little snapshot for you guys. And then until next time, please do manifest wisely. Please remember to like the video, especially if you were in the chat today. Remember, you do not have to be a subscriber in order to like the video. And I'll never know who you are either. It's not like Facebook where it's like, they didn't like my post. They liked my, but they laughed at it. They did this. You know what I mean? We don't... I barely have time to look at comments and stuff because I'm just, putting this stuff out here and move on with my day just as you should. You know what I mean? In whatever direction it needs to be moving in, So, anyway, I think I've successfully cooled down from my yard work. I'm not sweating. Anymore, so that's good. I don't like to get cleaned up too soon after doing all that, because then you get in the shower, and if especially you use hot water, then it's like you just end up sweating some more, and then I feel gross again. Anyway, I will see you guys later. Bye.